So I bought a 2010 Triton bass boat with a 2010 Mercury OptiMax 115 on it, two-stroke, three-cylinder, 1.5 liter. Great motor, fantastic motor. Does pretty much everything I need it to do. The problem is I'm the third owner, and my warning alarms from my horn were cut and rewired, and now my horn sounds like a duck, and yada yada yada. So I went out on the water and I got it up to wide open throttle one day, and for whatever reason the boat basically went down to neutral. I would pull the shifter up to neutral, put it back down to wide open throttle, and it would run about 52, 53 miles an hour, half a tank of fuel and one person on the boat. And it would go back down to neutral again, basically, and just, I mean, you know, 1,200, 1,500 RPMs. So I couldn't figure out why. And I called Mercury, and Mercury's like, well, what kind of alarm system are you getting? None. I'm getting no alarm system because I'm the third owner of this boat. So I'm getting nothing. This is my work shirt, by the way. You can actually see in the video all the oil and stuff. So I ended up buying this. So that's the Mercury Vessel View mobile, connected to my phone, and I hooked it up. I downloaded the app. I turned the key over one click, and it started throwing a oil sensor code. And I was like, okay, well, maybe the oil sensor's bad. I've looked all over online for what could possibly be wrong with this motor, and there's not a whole lot of information about it. But what I did find out with my good friend Mercury Mike, as we call him, cut his teeth on Mercury and knows so much about him, is that it is the float inside the oil tank that goes bad. It's not the sensor. The sensor's 22 bucks. That's cheap, easy to change, but it's $22. The tank is $420 from Mercury, $360 if you buy it on Amazon, which is also still an original Mercury part. I don't know why the difference is there. So why would it be a $22 oil sensor? That's silly. I wouldn't. If I build a motor, I wouldn't make it to where a common problem that everybody faces is a $22 part. I would make it to where it's a $400 part, and it's down deep inside of the motor or the tank that you can't get to. The problem is you can't even get the damn tank off without knowing how to take off your lower cowling. So anybody that's watching this video most likely already knows how to take off their upper cowling. You just pull the little lever that is located right here, and then you grab the air intake that's right up here, tilt it forward, and then it pulls off the hook that is normally sitting right here, which this is actually the hook that it sits on. But what a lot of people don't know is how to take off this lower cowling assembly. So if you look closely, you see that right there? This usually sits right up there. And that is a half-inch nut and a washer. Now there's also one on the other side that comes off as well. Let's make sure we got a good view of it. Yeah, right there. And inside here, there is an 8mm bolt that sits right here. And then there's one that sits right down here. Now to get this one down here, you have to take these off. Alright, you can either pop the pegs back here, or if you look, they are slotted. So they just slide right. It's a pain in the ass, but you get the gist of it. They just slide right on there like so. Now, after you do that, There's also a short bolt that sits right here. There's a short bolt that sits right here. And then you come underneath there. Let me see if we can get the camera just right for you to see it. But right here is a groove. And right down there is another bolt. You got to take that off as well. Then you come over to the other side of the motor. And you make sure that this is off. Because this bracket right here actually has a slotted groove, so that bolt can stay in. But this bolt over here has to come out. Once you do that, you can simply take it and do this. And this side of the cowling is pretty much off, except for one little wire and your piston. That's still connected. But it is still out of the way enough for you to remove. By the way, this is the oil sensor. It's one screw after you get all that off. But it's still out of the way enough for you to remove this, your oil tank. Now what went wrong in this one is right inside here. It goes right along through here. Is a magnetic float. So you can call Mercury and they're going to tell you, if they're honest, like unfortunately they were with me, that magnetic float will go bad about every 2 to 3 years. So you're going to have to replace that oil tank every 2 to 3 years, because there's literally no way to get to it unless you are very handy and you have a multi-tool and you can cut the plastic out and then use a torch and maybe melt the plastic back together. I don't know. I mean, you're dealing with 2-cycle oil, and as a fireman I have to warn you that when oil heats up, it is flammable. $22. You'd think Mercury would do that instead, but they didn't. So, new oil tank. It comes with everything on it, the float. I'm not sure if it comes with the sensor, but I mean, 22 bucks. So I'm probably going to buy a new one of these as well before I mount the new one on there. So one of the things were, oh, well, you can just jump the sensor. So this is the sensor wire. Really hard to get to until you've removed the lower cowling and the oil tank. But this is sensor wire. So I have tried putting a fuse, a small fuse in there. I also tried jumping it with a wire just to see, because I was like, well, you know, if I can jump it and I turn the key over once and pull up my vessel view, then it'd be good. No. The Mercury Guardian system is an excellent system, and although I keep my fuel tank or oil tank full, I keep my fuel tank full as well. I keep my oil tank full, and I check it every time before my pre-trip the night before, and I make sure all my batteries are charged and my 3-bank charger, my trolling motor, all that's good to go, and I make sure my oil tank is topped off. So in reality, I could probably get by without using it, but it's still a good system, because if I miss something, then my motor basically says, I'm done. I'm not gonna run at 42 or 4300 RPM. I'm not getting enough oil, even though I know it's getting oil. It's getting plenty of oil. The other thing is, guys, speaking of the oil, just jogged my memory. Do not think that you can put 30 gallons of gas in this boat and mix 2-cycle oil into the gas tank. Not with the OptiMax. Maybe other 2-strokes, sure. The OptiMax will not let you do it. You can't fool the computer on this thing. I wish I could. Yeah, can't do it. Can't do it, because not only does the oil mix with the gas from the oil tank, but if you notice, see if I can get the phone and camera just right, there are multiple oil lines on this motor. So it doesn't just mix with the gas, it lubricates several parts of this motor. And actually Mercury was pretty savvy for designing it this way. Just really shitty oil tank design. So all the videos and all the forums that you're going to read out there is going to tell you, oh yeah, you can replace the float, and I did it, and blah blah blah. And you're going to see that a guy did it on a 90 horsepower Mercury OptiMax oil tank that's like this big. He did not do it on the one that I have. You can't get to it. When you pull the lid off, it's just nothing but plastic underneath of it, and it goes this way, down, and then this way. So it can't be done. I'm sure somebody out there knows how to cut through the tank and, like I said, melt plastic back to it. That's more than what I'm willing to do. I really don't want to put that much effort behind it. So if you were getting a oil sensor or low oil alarm on your OptiMax, that is anything. So mine is 1B80. I'm not going to tell you the rest of my serial number because you guys might try to steal my out of warranty motor. Anything above that, so pretty much anything produced, I think, after 2007 or 2008. I'm not sure. You can look that. You can actually look that up on Mercury parts. Just replace the oil tank. It sucks. Bust out another $1,000. That's what happens when you buy a boat. Unfortunately, I've busted out about another $4,000 to $6,000 because of all the other shit I put on this thing. But I couldn't find a video to help me out on it. I had to make multiple phone calls. This has been weeks of trying to figure this shit out, and I finally figured it out. And yeah, hopefully this will help you out. The oil tank is a pain in the ass to change. The lower cowling is not that hard to take off. It is literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bolts. That's it. Yeah, I do recommend taking pictures of it before you take the bolts off, which I did, just so you can know how to put them back together. And I don't know if you are like me, but I also like to drink beer when I'm working on stuff. So, you know, 6, 7, 8 beers into it, and all the bolts start to look the same. But in reality, if you look, so this is one of the bolts that came off of the inside that I showed you. That's right there and right there, and that's the, hold on a second, let me move this around, and that's one of the other bolts. So kind of hard to mix up. So the longer bolt, obviously, whenever you decide that you're going to put it back together and you put this on here, right here, obviously the longer bolt has this section to go through. You know, it's about like that. Most men would say that's a good solid 16 inches that it has to go through, but in reality it's like a 2 1/4 bolt. But we're going to go with 16 inches, guys. So good luck to you. Leave any comments you have. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that I can. Keep in mind this is my first boat, so I don't know much about it. All I know is what I've researched and what I've looked up, and yeah. So at the end of the day, though, they are really fun. I have 3 children, a 13-year-old boy, a 10-year-old boy, and a 7-year-old daughter. And my 2 boys absolutely love the boat. They love fishing on it. They love catching. They love fishing. They love just being out on the water. So good luck, guys. Feel free to leave a comment. I'll try to answer the best I can. Keep in mind, I am nothing more than a garage mechanic. So good luck to you.